Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. Somewhere in the world right now, in a forest no one has walked through in decades, or in waters so deep that sunlight has never touched them, something moves. Something we thought was gone forever. Something we declared extinct might still be breathing, still hunting, still surviving in the last wild places we haven't yet disturbed. Tonight, we're going to explore that possibility together, gently as you settle into comfort and let your mind wander into the unknown. The word extinction carries such finality, doesn't it? It sounds like a door closing, like the last page of a story we can never read again. But the truth is softer, more uncertain than that. Extinction is not always a moment. Sometimes it's a question that lingers for years, even centuries. When scientists declare a species extinct, they're really making an educated guess based on absence. No confirmed sightings for 50 years perhaps, no physical evidence, no calls echoing through the valleys where they once lived. But absence of evidence is not the same as evidence of absence, and in the quiet spaces between what we know and what we cannot prove, hope persists. Throughout history, animals we believed were lost, forever have reappeared, walking calmly back into existence as if they'd never left. The coelacanth, that ancient fish from the age of dinosaurs, was considered extinct for 65 million years until a fisherman pulled one from the deep waters off South Africa in 1938. These reminders teach us humility. They teach us that the world is larger and more secretive than our certainty allows. So tonight, let's walk together through the territories of the possibly vanished, the allegedly extinct, the creatures that might still be out there, living their hidden lives while we sleep. Our journey begins in Tasmania, that island at the edge of the world, where mist rolls through eucalyptus forests and shadows grow long in the afternoon. This is where the Thylacine once lived. You might know it as the Tasmanian Tiger, though it was not a tiger at all, but a marsupial with a wolf-like face and stripes painted across its back like brushstrokes of amber and shadow. It moved with an odd, stiff-legged gait. It could open its jaws impossibly wide, almost 90 degrees, revealing rows of teeth that seemed too many for its slender skull. It was strange and beautiful, perfectly adapted to its island home. The last known Thylacine died in a zoo in 1936, shivering in the cold of a Hobart night because someone forgot to let it into its shelter. The species was declared extinct in 1986, 50 years after that final death, which seems like enough time to be certain. And yet, the sightings have never stopped. Year after year, people walking through the Tasmanian wilderness report seeing something that moves like no other animal, something striped and canine and utterly out of place. Cameras are set up, expeditions are mounted, nothing is confirmed, but the hope refuses to die. Perhaps the Thylacine learned something from us. Perhaps it learned to hide, to move only in the deepest darkness, to avoid the trails where humans walk. Tasmania is still wild in places, still thick with forests that could shelter secrets. And in those forests, on foggy mornings, when the world feels half-dreamed, the possibility remains. Now let our attention drift across the ocean to the swamps and bottomland forests of the American South, where cypress trees stand in dark water and Spanish moss hangs like curtains from ancient branches. This is the realm of the Ivory-Billed Woodpecker, a bird so magnificent it was called the Lord God bird, because people who saw it would exclaim, "Lord God, what a bird!" It was the largest woodpecker in the United States, nearly 2 feet tall, with plumage of black and white and a crest of brilliant red. Its call was a nasal tooting sound, like a toy trumpet echoing through the swamp. The Ivory-Billed Woodpecker needed vast territories of old-growth forest, and as those forests fell to logging through the 19th and 20th centuries, the bird vanished with them. The last universally accepted sighting was in Louisiana in 1944. By 1994, it was declared extinct, and yet, like the Thylacine, it refuses to stay buried. In 2004, researchers in Arkansas reported seeing one, filming blurry footage that ignited fierce debate in the scientific community. Some believe, some remain skeptical. Expeditions have searched for years, listening for that distinctive call, looking for the bird's rectangular excavations in dead trees. The swamps are vast and difficult and can swallow secrets whole. They flood and drain with the seasons. They grow thick with vegetation that blocks the light. If a few ivory-billed woodpeckers remain, living deep in refuges where humans rarely venture, they would be ghosts moving through a landscape of ghosts, the last survivors in a world that has already forgotten them. Whether they exist or not, the searching continues, gentle and persistent, driven by something more than science, driven by hope. Let's travel now across the Pacific to Japan, to the mountains of Honshu and Shikoku, where the Japanese wolf once howled in the moonlight. This was the smallest wolf in the world, barely larger than a medium-sized dog, with a delicate frame and a coat of gray and brown. It lived in the high country, in forests of beech and oak, and it was woven into Japanese folklore as a protector of travelers and farmers, a creature both feared and revered. The Japanese wolf was declared extinct in 1905 after the last known specimen was killed in Nara Prefecture. But the mountains of Japan are steep and thickly forested, and they hide things well. Since 1905, there have been dozens of reported sightings. Farmers see wolf-like animals at dusk. Hikers hear howls that don't match any known species still living on the islands. Photographs are taken, blurry and inconclusive, showing animals that might be wolves or might be wild dogs or might be nothing but shadows and wishful thinking. And in the mountains, where clouds cling to the peaks and valleys filled with darkness each evening, the possibility of the wolf's survival feels less like fantasy and more like patience. Nature keeps her secrets until she's ready to reveal them. Our journey takes us now beneath the waves, into the realm of the ocean, where 95% of the underwater world remains unexplored. The ocean is a universe unto itself, vast beyond comprehension, and in its depths, creatures we thought extinct might swim on, unaware that we've written their obituaries. Consider the megamouth shark, a 15-foot filter feeder with a luminous mouth, unknown to science until 1976, when one became tangled in a ship's anchor off Hawaii. For millions of years it lived and bred in the ocean's depths, and we never knew what else might be down there. There are reports, unconfirmed but tantalizing, of Caribbean monk seals, declared extinct in 2008, being spotted near remote Caribbean islands. The ocean is so large, so deep, so fundamentally unexplored that absence of sightings means almost nothing. A species could exist in stable populations for centuries without ever crossing paths with human observation. So when we say a marine species is extinct, we're really expressing an opinion based on incomplete information. We're saying we haven't seen it lately, not that it couldn't exist. And in the trenches and seamounts and coral gardens of the deep ocean, in places where the pressure would crush human bodies and the darkness is absolute, life continues in forms we're only beginning to understand. Let these thoughts settle over you like a blanket. Somewhere tonight, in forests and mountains and hidden waters, the world is larger than our knowledge of it. The creatures we've discussed might be gone, truly extinct, their genetic lines ended forever. but they might not be. They might be out there still, living carefully, avoiding us as we've given them every reason to do, surviving in the margins we haven't yet filled with our noise and light. This uncertainty isn't something to fear or to solve urgently. It's something to hold gently, like a question that doesn't need an immediate answer. It reminds us that mystery still exists, that the world hasn't been completely catalogued and categorized and filed away. There are still blank spaces on the map where anything might live. There are still mornings when someone might walk into the forest and see something impossible, something that shouldn't exist but does. As you drift towards sleep now, let your mind rest in that possibility. Let yourself imagine the Thylacine's strange gait through Tasmanian darkness, or the Ivory-Billed Woodpecker's trumpet call echoing across a Louisiana swamp, or the Japanese wolf's howl carrying through mountain fog. These images are soothing not because they're real or unreal, but because they remind us that the world is still capable of surprise, still holding secrets, still wild in ways we can't control. Extinction and survival, loss and hope, knowing and mystery. These aren't opposites, they're companions, walking together through the same forests, swimming through the same waters. And in the space between them, in the uncertainty itself, there's a strange comfort. We don't have to know everything, we don't have to be certain. We can simply rest in the possibility. The world is larger than we think. Life is more persistent than we know. And somewhere out there, in the wild places, something might still be breathing that we thought had breathed its last. Sleep well with that thought. Let it carry you gently into dreams where impossible things survive, where forests keep their secrets, where the lost are only hidden, waiting quietly to be found again, or waiting quietly not to be found at all, living out their lives in peace, in the last wild sanctuaries of a world that's still, even now, mysterious and alive.